What's good, people? Thank you for choosing Total Payout Podcast, chilling with your host, Trouble. Today's date, May 15, 2026. Got two game sixes on deck. Win at Cancun, pretty much. We got Detroit versus Cleveland. We got San Antonio and Minnesota. So let's go ahead and handicap these games, man, and see if we got some teams who are going to live to see another day or some teams who are going on to the next round. Now, we got Detroit and Cleveland. Cleveland lead the series 3-2. Big games by Cleveland, last two wins, especially the last game of Detroit, man. It looked like they couldn't hit the side of a backboard. Then Detroit just, I don't know. Detroit just was Detroit pretty much. Like I said, Cleveland up 3-2, head-to-head last 10. They're even 5-5 straight up. Cleveland is 6-4 against the spread last 10, and they're 5-5 over under last 10. Now Detroit 2-5 against the spread last 7 versus Cleveland. 1-5 against the spread last 6 away from home. 1-12 straight up last 13 away versus Cleveland, and 4-9 against the spread last 13 in May. And they're 24-22 against the spread away from home overall. Now Cleveland is 4-2 against the spread last 6, 10-0 straight up last 10 at home, 7-13 against the spread last 20 versus the East, 5-10 against the spread last 15 versus Central, and 21-25-1 against the spread at home overall. Now my personal line got Cleveland -2. Vegas opened up Cleveland -4. Okay, now looking at this series, man, it's kind of tough because I did have Detroit kind of banging Cleveland. First two games, it looked dire for Cleveland. Then Donovan Mitchell showed up a game. The difference in this series, if you believe it or not, in my opinion, obviously Donovan Mitchell had a very big game forward with that big second half, but it's been a consistency of a Mastruz and a James Harden. James Harden actually showing up, man. I have to give him his props. I'm not the biggest James Harden fan. I try to defend him as much as I can, just as far as what he does in the regular season, but I can't defend the playoffs. But in this series, I think his play on the perimeter, his guard play, not turning the ball over like a Kay Cunningham, has been the difference in this series. Is why Cleveland has took the lead in this series, and then Donovan Mitchell being volatile at the right time has made a big difference. And like I said, Evan Mobley is the difference as far as down low. He is the person who can make a difference as far as between these two teams, because Jalen Duren still hasn't showed up. He might have lost half of his payday this playoff series. I think he might be due up for that max, and it ain't looking good for him right now as far as his worth. I mean, he might get the max based off just there is nobody else to give the max to on that team, but he's not worth it in my opinion as far as playoffs are right now. So he's actually not showing up at the worst time. I've been calling him out. I called him out against Orlando. He got outplayed by Wendell Carter. He's basically getting outplayed by half of Jared Allen. Jared Allen still isn't having a super dominant series, but Evan Mobley popping the three, getting them offensive boards, diving. He's playing. He's doing his thing. So Jalen Duren is the reason why I think Detroit is down in this series. If he got a big game in him, and if he's gonna show up, it has to be this game, or they're gonna be going home. Kay Cunningham doing all he can do, man, and then he's probably doing too much. I mean, Tobias had a bad couple games. I think he might have peaked. Duncan Robinson, here or there, but the Javonte Greens, Dennis got a start. He balled out. Like Dennis should have been getting that playing time a long time ago. So it's kind of tough for me to look at Detroit. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and take Detroit. Mainly because Detroit. I think this is an even series as far as points. Giving me Detroit +4. I think this game, if Cleveland does win, is going to be by 3 or less. I think it's a trap with the 4. I don't know if Detroit wins this game. It's tough. Cleveland does have a propensity to fold. They did against Toronto. Toronto could have stole a couple games that they could have stole if Brandon Ingram didn't go out. And I think Detroit's better than them. I do think Detroit has enough fight in them to win this game, because Cleveland not the toughest team. But Detroit can't just make it all about being physical. They have to have some finesse in their game as well. They have to go out there and play with finesse with the physical on both ends of the court. Can't just all be physical, because Cleveland is a finesse team. And if you just try to play physical against them, it's not going to work at this point, because now they've taken control. So now it makes it look like they're playing harder. So I just think Detroit needs to add some finesse to this series. Add some pick and roll oops instead of just giving the ball to Jalen Duren and thinking he could power pass everybody. Let's let him roll without the ball. Let's try to play regular season basketball this game. We're gonna go home. Let's play our game. So Detroit +4 in this game right here. Now the second game we're gonna go ahead and handicap is going to be the San Antonio versus Minnesota. Now this is kind of going, the way pretty much probably the majority of the people expected. I did say Minnesota had a chance to steal this series. They still do at home, 3-2. So I mean, it's in their court to get it back to San Antonio. But I will concede and say it hasn't looked great. They won 2 games. I can't say they had a chance to win the games they lost. So the 2 games they won, one with Wemby getting ejected. We can say they stole that game. Obviously they did. The games in San Antonio, they won game 1. The other 2 games has not been close. So, Minnesota going to make this series extend to 7 games. They're going to have to play a little bit of finesse ball too and not get super frustrated. They're going to have to try to play a little defense. Not a little, a lot. They're letting the guards just get to the lane. It just doesn't look good. And then you got Wemby, so it's like, can't let the guards just do everything. But let's see if Wemby and them who juggernaut, got OKC waiting on them, go ahead and dust Minnesota off and get them up out of there. So we got a head-to-head last 10. Minnesota 6-4 straight up last 10. 5-5 against the spread last 10. So they're even against the spread. Over is 8-2 last 10. San Antonio 6-2 against the spread last 8. San Antonio 15-5 straight up last 20. San Antonio 4-2 straight up last 6 versus Minnesota. 9-4 against the spread last 13 versus the Western Conference, and 27-20 against the spread away from home overall. Now Minnesota 5-1 against the spread last 6 at home, 8-1 straight up last 9 at home versus San Antonio, 9-3 against the spread last 12 against the Western Conference. Minnesota is 2-6 against the spread last 8 on Fridays, and they're 22-24 against the spread at home overall. Now my personal line in this game I got as a pick. Now Vegas did open up at San Antonio -5. Now this one is a little bit tough. Like I say, San Antonio playing great, man. They're balling right now. But I'm gonna take a flyer on Minnesota plus the 5 points. I think Minnesota's gonna fight. Their season's pretty much on the line, just like Detroit. It's win or go home. And I'm not saying they're gonna win this game, but I think they're gonna fight at home. They have the crowd behind them. You've seen San Antonio go home, not to go down 3-2 and have to go to Minnesota 3-2, and the crowd, I think, propelled them to do what they did. Obviously, they're better than Minnesota at this point. I think that they're better just off personnel, not off being gelled together as far as being together longer than Minnesota, but they have better players. Now, DiVincenzo, I don't think he would make that much of a difference, but win, lose, or draw, Minnesota gonna have to do something about that bench. It's weak. They have a weak bench. They don't have a lot of. It's either that or the coaching is atrocious. They're not playing the players that make it. I don't think they have a great bench, honestly. So that's the top. Up top. That's the GM and all of them who's supposed to figure that out. But at this point, looking at San Antonio, looking at OKC, they're deep. Minnesota is a top-heavy team, and then they're not even that super top-heavy team. So it's just tough. They have a great player, and they have a great role players, but their bench is discombobulated, is very uneven. It's not right. They don't have players who can replace the players off in the starting lineup and get them even half the production for a couple minutes. Nothing. So it's tough. But I do think Minnesota fights. Does San Antonio know how to win closeout teams on the road? That is as the type of team like a Minnesota. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I know I've seen Minnesota fight to stay alive, but I don't know if I haven't seen San Antonio have to go on the road and win the playoff series as constructed right now. So I'm gonna play that angle. That I think Minnesota gonna fight to keep their season alive, veteran team, knowing that it's either do or die, knowing that they haven't showed up in the games that matter, and this is one of those games that it matters more than not. Obviously, the series get bleak when it gets to 3 games. Whoever reached the third win first in the series, that team that's trying to get back, it's do or die. It's like there's no tomorrow if you lose this game. So I think Minnesota understands that. They play together about 3-4 years now, playoffs every year. So I don't think they have any excuses if they get blown up by 30. They didn't show up. like I say, so we're gonna go ahead and take Minnesota plus the 5, and let's make San Antonio prove that they can close out a team on the road that's back against the wall. So let's go ahead and recap the games we're taking today. We're gonna take Detroit plus 4 on the road. Tough pick. But man, we're gonna walk in. We're gonna walk through the fire and hope Detroit got our back. I hope Detroit shows up on the road and want to keep their season alive. They are better. They are the team with the home court advantage. They lost it obviously. Let's see if they can strike back and take the home court advantage back in Game 6. The second pick we're taking today is going to be Minnesota plus 5 at home versus San Antonio. Like I said, I do think that Minnesota is going to fight. I don't know if I trust San Antonio to close out Minnesota on the road. It's going to be a first for them pretty much. Portland, they weren't going to lose to Portland. Minnesota, not saying that they were going to lose to Minnesota. Like I said, I did think Minnesota has had a chance in this series. They still alive. I don't know if they win the series, but I did think they had a chance. They did win that first game and looked good. Here, there, it is what it is, man. So we're gonna take Minnesota plus 5 to make San Antonio prove they can walk into somebody's home and close them out on the road. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Total Payout Podcast, chilling with your host Trouble. Today's date, May 15, 2026. Like I said, man, we got 2 Game 6s, man. Is any of these teams gonna get to a Game 7? Is both of them gonna get to a Game 7, or are they just gonna cover the spreads and help us break the bank? Either way it go, man. If we cover them spreads, we cool. We know we ain't playing with our heart. We ain't betting with our heart. We just betting the spread. I ain't calling no money line, so we just hope they come through. Please give me a like, comment, and subscribe at the end of this video. I appreciate you guys giving me a couple minutes out today. Like I always say, man, please stay out the way. Thank you.
Hey, Rick and Thad.